Hey guys, it's Tasia. I'm back with another video. Today I wanted to teach you how to use a terminal, and I want to help you guys make your first Java program. So I feel like when I first started coding in computer science, I was really lost. A lot of the concepts were really confusing and hard, but I had a professor to kind of guide me along and show me how to do some things. And so I wanted to make this video for those of you that are new to coding and want to learn how to use a terminal and learn how to make a small program. So yeah, keep watching if you want to learn that. So although there are a vast number of ways that you can take your career in computer science, you need to start with the basics. And for most people, their first program that they ever write is typically Hello World, which is just a program that literally writes Hello World. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be coding on my MacBook and using the terminal that comes along with it, as well as an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. And so the one I'll be using is called Sublime, and it's a text editor, which means you can open up files and code in it or write in it. So yeah, and believe it or not, back in the olden days, before people had a GUI, which stands for a graphical user interface, which are things like a text editor, for example, or even like a website, you can't really click on a little icon and have Chrome pop up. People didn't have access to things like that, and so they would use the terminal to run their code and to get things done. So first things first, in order to find your terminal application for MacBook, there's two ways you can do it. You can bring up your app screen, and I think for everyone, I think it should be in this folder, but if you go to the others folder, there should be the terminal app, and that's one way to pull it up. But if yours happens to be in a different location, then you can always click Command spacebar, which brings up the Spotlight search, in which case you can type in terminal and find the application that way. So now that we have the terminal open, I'm going to show you how to execute a command. And a command is simply an instruction that we're giving to the terminal to run. So you can see where the little cursor is blinking, that's where our command line starts, and that's where we're going to be typing in our requests. So the first one we're going to do is ls. If you type in ls and you hit enter, your terminal will show you all the contents within the folder that you're currently located in. So you can see when I type ls that I have access to all these folders within my user folder on my MacBook. So I have access to the desktop folder, the downloads folder, and so on. The one we're going to be most concerned with right now is desktop because it's an easy place to see things appear. So I'm going to go into my desktop folder and I'm going to show you what I have in there. And we're going to go ahead and navigate to the desktop folder through the terminal. The way you do that when you want to enter a directory or folder is you type cd and the name of the folder. Be careful here because it is case sensitive. If you type directory with a lowercase d, or if you type, desktop with a lowercase d, your computer will not know what that is. You have to write it exactly with the same case. So we are gonna navigate there, and then you can see if I type ls again, and I have all these things that the terminal is showing me exist in there, and if we move over to our windows, to our Finder window, you can see that those same things exist within that. So now let's go ahead and make a new folder on our desktop. In order to make a folder, you type mkdir, and this is the command you type to make a new folder, and we have to type in the name of the folder afterwards. So you can see that when I do that, the new folder appears, and then if we look on our Finder window, you see that the folder is now there. So the code that we're going to be writing, we're going to put it in a file within the testing folder. So let's go ahead and go inside the testing folder. Again, we type cd and then the name of the folder, which is testing. And if you type ls, you will see that we have nothing in there, which is what we expect because we just made a brand new folder. So now I'm going to show you how to create a file using the terminal. I'm going to use an editor called Vim, spelled V-I-M, and in order to create this, you type in VIM and the name you would like to give this file. Since we're going to be writing this program in the language Java, I'm going to give it the extension .java. So I name my file test, and if you do that and the file doesn't exist yet within your folder, it will create it for you. If the file already did exist, it would open the existing file for you. So now that we have this new file open, you're probably ready to start typing. But wait, when you first open Vim, you are not in a mode that allows you to edit the file. In order to edit the file, you're going to have to press the letter I on your keyboard, and a lowercase I, and this is going to allow you to enter insert mode, which will allow you to go ahead and actually put stuff and type things in. You can see that the file is empty, and that's because it's a brand new file. In order to make a comment, you type 2 forward slashes, and anything that you write after that will be ignored by the Java compiler. So the first thing we need to do now is we need to create or write our class declaration. The best way that I can explain this is you need to have a bucket essentially for all your code to go within. And the way you do that in Java is you write public class and then the class name. And this class name needs to match your file name. So for example, in this case that we're doing right here, we named our file test.java. And so our class needs to have the same exact name, same case as well. So since we used all lowercase letters, we're going to write TEST as our class, same way. And so now we have our bucket. And within this bucket is where our main method goes. A main method is something that mostly every single Java file will need, and the way you can think of a main method is it's the first thing that the compiler will run when you run your code. So you can think of maybe, I don't know, a machine that you have, and if you hit the on button, there needs to be something that is in charge and is making all the calls, and so that's what the main method typically is. It's the first function that runs, and within there you can either call other things or you can write your commands. There's a specific manner in which you need to write your main method, and this is the exact signature. A signature is just these words you see here. It's how you're addressing the function. So you don't need to worry about all the specifics right now about what every single one of these words mean, but what you do need to know is that this right here, main, that's the name of the function, and then within the parentheses, that is called a parameter, which is something that's being passed into the function off the bat. Don't worry too much about that right now, we could get into more detail later, but let's go ahead and learn how to write the sentence, hello world. You might have heard me use the word sentence and string interchangeably, and that's because the way computer deals with sentences or things in quotes is it calls them strings. So now you know. In order to print anything out to the screen, the way that Java handles it is you type system.out.println, open paren. And then within those parentheses, that's where you put your string or sentence that you want the program to print to the screen. So you can see that I've done that. And Java at least, really likes speaking in sentences or in commands. And the way you end a command is by putting a semicolon. So that's why you see me putting one there at the end of that line. And you can see, like I said, we have our bucket for the class, and then we have our little bucket, which is the main method, and I have all my code inside there, and now we can go ahead and exit out of it. So to exit out, you need to escape from being in insert mode, and as I said earlier, insert mode is how you type things into the file. So to do that, you hit the escape key, you type :WQ, and so now the W stands for save, and the Q stands for quit, or just closing out of that Vim editor. So we're going to close out of it, And for Java specifically, it is a compiled language. Don't worry about too much about what that means, but for right now, what that means is that we have to type Java C, which is the compiler, as well as the file name. And you will see that it produces something called a .class file. And so now to run it, to run this code that we've just created, you type Java and then just the name of your class. So not everyone is going to have access to a IDE such as Sublime, right? But I'm going to show you anyways how to use one. So you can download these. These are typically free from the internet, but make sure you do your research and download from a trustable source before doing so. And this is mine right here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on it. And you can see that it opens a completely new file. So as you can see, this is an unsaved document. In order to save it, I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And it's going to give me an option to give it a name. So I'm going to go ahead and name it the same thing, but I'm just going to add a number so we don't get it confused with our original file. And for now, I'm just going to go ahead and save it on my desktop because that's an easy place to navigate to. And make sure you give it the extension .java like I mentioned before, so that you know it's a Java program. I showed you guys earlier how you can make a comment using a double slash, right? But now I'm going to show you how to do one that's multiple lines. So if you do a / and a star, and then a couple lines later, a star again, asterisk, and a /, anything that is written in between here is going to be considered a comment. So that's another way. Back to what I was saying before, when we write a class, we have to make sure that the name matches the name of our file. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and type public class test2, and you do an open bracket. And this IDE is really nice because it kind of does some auto completion. If I type an open bracket, it will write a closed bracket for me automatically. So I hit enter, and this time we're going to go ahead and write our main method again. So we have public static void main. Don't worry too much about what these things mean right now. If you're really curious, you can Google it, but just know that this is what a signature is. So public static void main. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and write the semicolons again, or the curly braces again, because this is our bucket for our main method. So now we can write something other than hello world. Perhaps we can write goodbye world. Is that too gloomy? Oh no, whatever. And as I mentioned before, the semicolon is your way of saying period. I'm done with writing this command. If you want to write another command, we can still do that on a different line, like this. So here is an example where I have two different statements, and you end both of them with this semicolon. So now we have our file. Let's go ahead and run it. But before I can do that, I'm going to have to save the stuff that I've written in here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button. If we go back here, I have a brand new terminal open. So let's go ahead and navigate our way to that file that we just created. So if I type ls, I can see that I have access to the desktop folder. So I'm going to go ahead and enter it. Type ls again, and here is the file that I just created. So let's go ahead and open it just to make sure that's the right one. So if we type in the name exactly how it's spelled here with the same case, I hit enter. Yep, this is the stuff that we had just written. And in order to exit out of it, I'm going to hit escape and semicolon WQ to save and exit the file. And now in order to run this file again, I'm going to go ahead and type javac test2.java. Cool, and you can see right here actually, it created the class folder, or class file for us. So if we type ls, we will see that, test2.class, and now we're gonna run that class file. Remember, in order to run it, you don't need to write the .class extension, you just write the name of the class, test2. Ta-da! And there you have it. That is 2 ways that you can write and execute a program, either from the terminal or from an IDE. I hope you guys learned some stuff, and yeah, thanks for watching.